In this video, we're going to talk about complex numbers, and we're going to start with imaginary, which you may recognize as having an I. So let's define I. I is the square root of -1, which we know does not exist in the real numbers. So anytime we got a negative, we said that it didn't exist in the real numbers, but now it does exist in the complex numbers. So we have the definition of I is equal to -1. This is a definition. If we have I squared, that's going to be -1 times square root of -1 times square root of -1. We know if we multiply square roots, we get the same as what we started with, which is -1. So I squared turns out to be -1, or you can think of I squared as being defined as -1, and then I is square root of -1. Okay, so now that opens up a new set of simplifications and solutions that we didn't have before. So if we have square root of -4, we can break that up how we did before, -1 times square root of 4. Okay, we broke it up like we did before. What can we find the square root of? Square root of -1 is I, square root of 4 is 2. We've got I times 2, and normally we put numbers first and letters second, so we're going to write that as 2I. Similarly, if we have the square root of -7, we can break that up as -1 times 7. So we're going to take that negative out, and that's going to be I times square root of 7. And that one we're just going to leave alone because we can't do anything with the square root of 7. So 2I is completely simplified. I square root of 7 is completely simplified. Now, do note that if we have the cube root of -8, we never had a problem with this. This is a real number. The cube root of -8 is still -2. We never have I for cube roots. Okay, we've always been able to take cube roots. I only comes into play for square root of negative numbers, which we didn't have before. All right, now we looked at multiplication and division before for real numbers. For imaginary numbers, you've got to convert to I first before you can do multiplication and division. So let's say we've got square root of -2 times square root of -8. We need to convert these first. So this is going to be, if we look at it over here, you pull the negative outside, it becomes an I. So you can just make this I square root of 2, or you can go ahead and write it all out. -1 square root of 2, -1 square root of 8. This is all multiplication. So this is going to be I square root of 2 times I square root of 8. Now we can multiply imaginary numbers together, we can multiply complex numbers together. So I times I is I squared. Square root of 2 times square root of 8 is square root of 16. We know that I squared is -1, and we know that square root of 16 is 4. So that gives us -4 overall. Okay, do notice that's different than if you multiplied in the first step. If you multiplied these together, you would have gotten +16, and the square root of +16 would be +4. So this is different. You've got to be careful with these. Make sure that you convert to I first. Let's say we've got, on division, same idea. Let's say we've got square root of 36 over square root of 4. So convert to I. This is going to be, we're going to take -1, 36, square root of 4 is just square root of 4. So this is going to give us I times 6 over 2. We can divide the real parts just like we would if this was, it's not a variable, it's a number, but just like if this was a variable, we can cancel. This is all multiplication division. We can cancel the 2 and the 6, so this is going to be I times 3, or 3I. Okay, so in multiplication and division, make sure that you convert to I first, and then do your simplification.